Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Welcome back. Ramadan is around the corner. Probably you may be watching this also in Ramadan. Either way, in our previous video, we have agreed and established our intention for fasting at least the first day of Ramadan tomorrow, maybe. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us a long life to witness more accepted Ramadan. Allahumma ameen. One of the basic elements of fasting is to abstain from food, drinks, obviously sexual intercourse, among other things as well, from dawn until sunset. However, we are encouraged also to take what is known as a pre-dawn meal or what is known as sahur. In other words, while we don't eat and drink during the fasting hours of the day, we are supposed, in fact, we are encouraged to take our pre-dawn meal or what is known as sahur. What is sahur, you may ask? Sahur is an Arabic word which stands for pre-dawn meal, the meal we take to initiate our fasting before Fajr, after we have already made an intention to fast the month of Ramadan or a day in the month of Ramadan or any fasting for that matter outside Ramadan. The importance of taking our pre-dawn meal or our sahur is that it is part of the practice, the sunnah of our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Not only did he practice it, he has also verbally encouraged the ummah to take their pre-dawn meal or to take sahur. This is understood from a hadith reported by Imam al-Bukhari and Muslim rahimahumallahu ta'ala from the narration of Sayyiduna Anas ibn Malik radiyallahu anhu that our beloved Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam has said, "Tasahharu fa inna fi sahuri barakah." Take your sahur, take your pre-dawn meal, for there is a blessing, there is barakah in sahur, in pre-dawn meal. Besides the sunnah factor, practically taking pre-dawn meal or taking breakfast for that matter, since one is fasting, taking breakfast energizes one's body to undertake daily chores, daily activities, to carry out their works and duties responsibly by Allah's will. Therefore, taking sahur for the fasting Muslim is not only encouraged, it is also wise for him to do so. It is a practice of sunnah, a response, taking heed to the command of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam as he has verbally instructed us to do so, and it also gives you physical strength to undertake and undergo the activities of the fasting day or the fasting hours of the day by Allah's will. And since the time of taking the pre-dawn meal will have to shift for many Muslims, if not all, from their normal breakfast time to hours earlier, the Muslim will have to learn to adapt and prepare himself for that throughout the month of Ramadan. And it doesn't matter how much you take. If you know yourself that you need a heavy meal, go for heavy meal. But what matters is that you take something, even if it is a glass of water alone. Now comes the question, what if someone does not take his pre-dawn meal, whether intentionally or he oversleeps? Taking pre-dawn meal is encouraged, like we mentioned. It is sunnah is one thing. It also prepares the body physically to undergo the daily chores and activities. However, if one fails to take his pre-dawn meal because he has overslept, his fast is still valid, provided he has established his intention before going to bed. So it's very important that you have your intention before going to bed. If you don't establish your intention before going to bed and you oversleep, that means the intention is not there. You will have to make up for that fasting day after Ramadan. So if one has established, already have in his heart, tomorrow for sure, tomorrow is a fasting day, and by all means we are fasting by Allah's will, and he oversleeps, he fails to wake up for sahur, his fasting is still valid, inshallah ta'ala. So if you wake up late, right before the adhan, maybe a few seconds before the adhan kicks in, you can take a sip of water and you will be good to go. However, in a nutshell, if one fails to take their pre-dawn meal, their sahur, their fasting is still valid as long as they have established the intention. This is why establishing the intention from the beginning of Ramadan for the whole month becomes practical. Like I mentioned, as long as it does not contradict with the authentic sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now that we have established our intention last night, and right now we are taking our sahur to fast the day, our next video will be highlighting the character of the fasting Muslim to observe throughout the fasting hours, inshallah. May Allah grant us what it takes to better and purify our dunya for the best interest of our akhirah. Until then, I leave you in His protection. See you and see you in Jannah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah